Take 75. Hey, welcome to Beyond the Dots wrap up. This is the end of the season, end of the series. Just a short episode to explore how we felt about things, say a few thank yous, and I just have a little chat with my friend and producer Victoria, who just probes me a little bit to find out whether we achieve what we wanted to achieve. So hope you enjoy it, and yeah, I'll see you soon.
Okay, so this is it. This is our Beyond the Dots wrap up. I can't actually believe we're at this point, Debbie. This series is coming into an end, and what an end. Why are we ending the series?
Well, we're ending the series because all good things come to an end for a start. Nothing can go on forever. And I'm moving to the other side of the world. So a number of things are coming to an end. You know, my role at Magenta and my first CEO role is coming to an end. I'm about to start a new one, and I'm about to move to the other side of the world. So yeah, I think it's so Beyond the Dots, which was the headline title, but with a subtext of investigating patterns and how things work in the inner circle and how you can be the best person that you can be in your role, in your career. So it's time to go on and do new things.
So what were you hoping to achieve with this series?
So when we set about putting this series together, what I was really hoping to achieve at the outset of it, I guess, was to do a bit of kind of self-exploration. When I started off my role as CEO, I had read an article in the Harvard Business Case article that talked about the importance of having an inner circle. And I guess at the same time as well, I was kind of looking at how, as a CEO, the things that I was thinking about, how kind of joining the dots together of your history, the future, making patterns in terms of plans and where you needed to go. And I guess it felt like that it was just something really to explore with my inner circle of people who were around me, looking at whether there is a link between creativity and leadership and how all those things work together and what's important. And I think what I was hoping to achieve was to explore that a little bit, to see whether, creativity and leadership is really key, but also to explore my relationships with those key people, those people around me. And I think for the listeners to sort of get a sense that make them think about who is their inner circle, what are their patterns, how does it work for them in their roles. And so if I achieved any of that it was interesting to people to do self-reflection and to think about their inner circle, their teams, their roles, their patterns, then we nailed it. If not, we failed.
Were there any particular standout moments or big learnings for you?
Throughout the series, there were loads and loads of standout moments and big learns. I guess it's hard to pinpoint a few. I guess I think for me, number one, I think I got better as I went along, and I think I've really kind of learned how to become a podcast host. I'm certainly, I'm not fully fledged, but I think I've definitely got better and more confident. So that's number one. Number two, I think that, some of the episodes, I learned so much just by being in the episode. I really enjoyed speaking to Simon around AI and the future of AI, because that's something that I am very curious about, and it's not necessarily my bag. So that was really interesting. I really enjoyed talking to you, Vic, and to Abby, and making you come in front of the camera, being behind it. I loved exploring with Gabe Galletti that whole kind of, how he's gone from CEO to author, but also demonstrating that whole kind of, I guess, that chemistry that we have. I love the episode of Ron. I think that, Ron and I have a 30-year friendship that all of a sudden just played out on screen or audio like I never would have thought it would, but also to show the depth of Ron's knowledge around, she's not in a leadership role, but just her psychotherapy knowledge of like how relevant that was around well-being, and just, make me think about things that were beyond what I thought that I would have. So definitely beyond the dots in that sense. And then there were just some really, great opportunities to chat to some really strong female leaders like Julie and Jane, and just to kind of be able to talk to them, to those guys who really inspire me and motivate me. So it sounds like a bit of an echo chamber that I just had the best time, really. So I hope that everyone else did, but yeah, I really did. It was great.
And there was some, not to give any spoilers out, because obviously some people might not have listened to every episode, and if they haven't, they need to. But there were a few kind of reveals in the series with Gabe Galetti, and you also got to kind of like go back and really kind of rediscover some of your past working relationships. Jane Ashcroft. That was fantastic. How did that make you feel?
Yeah, I really enjoyed some of the big reveals, and going back, as you say, talking to people like Jane, who has been a friend and a mentor, but I've not actually worked with her since sort of 2010. Talking to Gabe Galetti, who I see every single day of my life, and still there were things to be revealed. Same with Charles, with Charlotte, and that I really enjoyed that. I thought that Charles is such an inspiration to me. My little sis, and what she's done and what she's achieved. And I think that was another one that we could have gone on and on and on for hours, because there was so much to her work life in terms, we started to really unearth that thing about working in kitchens, and, so we did the whole glossy bit about how creative she is and what she's achieved in her life. But you look back and really understand just how difficult that environment was for her and stuff. So yeah, I think there were loads of big reveals that I really enjoyed.
Were you nervous about having relatives on the series?
Um, no, I wasn't. I wasn't nervous at all. They are my inner circle in different ways, and it's not just because they're my relatives. It's what they bring. It's how they motivate, inspire, challenge me, make me the person that I am. So it wasn't necessarily about some of the people on the podcast being relatives. It was more about the reason why they are part of that inner circle group that I need to function. The battery pack of my life, I guess, that charges me up and recharges me.
Is there anybody that didn't appear that you might like to appear? Or in an ideal scenario, if you could have anybody on the podcast, who would that be?
Well, and that, if I could have anybody on the podcast, I mean, that's a really leading question, isn't it? Because there's so many people that are outside of my inner circle that I would have on the podcast. And there are some key people in my world that aren't on the podcast for varying reasons. Some of them because they don't want to be, and I appreciate that. So, the inner circle that you see is the people who I guess courageous enough to trust me, to sit and talk to them, and some people really respect their own privacy. And so it wasn't a complete circle. I guess there are other people around me who I adore and I love, who I would have loved to have been on, but for their reasons, that's their choice.
So obviously the series has been called Beyond the Dots. You're starting to look way beyond the dots now, aren't you, in terms of like your next big step? Talk to us a little bit about that. What are you going to be doing next? Have you got any ideas? Obviously, we know you're moving to Australia, you're taking a role with St George Community Housing, but what does that look like for you? What does the future look like for Debi?
So currently I sit here today, and 2 weeks tomorrow, I will be on a big plane flying to the other side of the world, 12,500 miles to, everyone keeps saying to start a new life. I think I've explored this on one of the podcasts, saying I really don't like that view. It's a new adventure, not a new life. And so, I'm going the other side of the world. I'm going to start a brand new role at St George's Community Housing. I'm very excited about that, what I can allow myself to be. At the moment, I'm immersed in administrative drudgery of a huge huge move. I'm trying not to catastrophize things in my head. My overthinking is really at play here. As Ron said to me the other day, just say, "Not today, Satan," and just try and kind of calm your thinking down and just look forwards and get excited. So I'm trying to do that, and it will be amazing, I'm sure. I'm already talking to a lot of my new colleagues who I'll be working with when I get to St George's. They sound, incredibly interesting, and I'm really looking forward to working in that new space, in that new world, learning new things. But I still want to continue with the whole kind of podcast episodes, because I think it really helps my wider teams to understand me. I think it will be lovely for my colleagues and friends still back in the UK to connect with me and see what I'm up to and what I'm doing, all of which have said that they really value that. So I want to kind of continue with that. And I guess, not really nailed it yet, but the mantra for me at the moment is what I'm doing, and I think what the next stage of my kind of career will be is about being bigger, braver, and bolder. And so I think maybe that's the new title right there.
I love that. I love that. We've made it quite clear this is not a goodbye. This is a see you soon, isn't it? But on the spirit of see you soon, do you have any kind of final thoughts or messages for your podcast family, the people that listen to you, your friends, your colleagues? Anything you want to end this with?
I guess it's just thank you for listening. I'm very honoured and humbled that people do listen. And I imagine people like being in their cars, or people walking the dog, or one colleague said to me one time she listened to me in the shower, which I thought was really interesting. I thought, crikey, you don't need me in your head when you're in the shower. So I am very grateful that people listen. I'm very grateful for the feedback that I get as well. I'm very grateful for the vehicle that it's given me, that I think does make me more approachable, and it is that bringing your real self to your work world. I think it enables me to pull together my creative side and my work world, which I love, and I'm just very, very grateful for that. I thank everybody who, as I said earlier, has kind of come onto the podcast and has enabled me to talk to them and to have conversations with them. And I guess, obviously, I really, really thank you and Simon, who produce me, who do my creative content, who help me be even the tiny, tiny bit of influencer that I am. And, I know that I've got a way to go to keep learning and developing in this space, but I am actually enjoying it, which I never thought I would. So I think my advice to anyone is give it a go, because I've talked about this. I have social anxiety. I might be an extrovert, but I'm an introverted extrovert. I'm quite shy in different scenarios. My pulse rate is sometimes 130 when I know that I'm going to do stuff like this. So if I can do it, then anyone can do it. And I just think in today's world of leadership, being visible, being approachable, there are just ways to do it, and it doesn't have to be around presenteeism. There are different media outlets, different avenues to connect with people. And if this has connected with anyone, then thank you for listening, and thank you guys for encouraging me to do it.
So that's a wrap on Beyond the Dots with Debi Marriott-Lavery. A big thank you to all our listeners, amazing guests, and everyone who's supported the show. We couldn't have done this without you. If you've enjoyed the series, we'd love to hear from you. Please like, share, comment. We're always listening. And don't worry, Debi will be back with a brand new podcast later this year. So stay tuned and see you soon.